Emotional volatility is one of the first red flags that Stoics recognize and consciously avoid in modern dating. When someone allows their emotions to dictate their actions, conversations, and decisions, it creates a chaotic environment that is neither sustainable nor healthy for a long term connection. In the context of dating, emotional volatility can manifest as extreme highs and lows, sudden anger, jealousy, or intense reactions to minor issues. For a Stoic, this unpredictability is a major warning sign because a relationship built on such unstable foundations cannot provide the calm, rational, and meaningful interaction that is essential for growth and mutual respect. Stoics understand that their own emotional composure is paramount. They practice self discipline, reflection, and rational thinking to ensure that they do not react impulsively to external circumstances. When they encounter someone whose mood swings wildly, it threatens their inner peace and challenges their ability to maintain equanimity. Emotional stability is not about suppressing feelings, but about responding consciously rather than being swept away by immediate impulses. A partner who cannot regulate their emotions consistently introduces a level of uncertainty that conflicts with this principle. Furthermore, emotional volatility often signals a lack of self awareness and maturity. When a person lashes out, manipulates, or overreacts, it indicates that they are not fully in control of their internal states. Dukes value clarity, responsibility, and accountability in themselves and others. They recognize that someone who cannot manage their emotions may also struggle to handle conflicts, disappointments, or challenges in the relationship. This is why Stoics see emotional volatility as a red flag early on. They are not looking to avoid all emotion, but avoid patterns that indicate instability and potential harm. In modern dating, where communication is often digital, emotional volatility can be even more pronounced. Text messages, social media interactions, and misinterpreted signals can trigger disproportionate reactions. Stoics avoid getting entangled in such dynamics because they understand that a healthy relationship requires patience, understanding, and the ability to engage thoughtfully rather than impulsively. When a partner demonstrates extreme emotional responses to everyday situations, it becomes clear that they may lack the temperament required for a calm, steady connection. Additionally, emotional volatility can manifest as inconsistency in commitment and attention. One day, a person may be affectionate and attentive, and the next withdrawn or irritable for reasons that are unclear. Stoics recognize that this inconsistency is draining and erodes trust over time. They value reliability, predictability in behavior, and emotional steadiness because these qualities create a foundation for deep connection and mutual respect. Being with someone emotionally volatile forces constant adaptation and vigilance, which ultimately diminishes the joy and ease that a balanced relationship should offer. Recognizing emotional volatility as a red flag is not about judgment, but about self preservation and intentionality. Stoics prioritize their peace of mind and long term well being over fleeting excitement or drama. They understand that while attraction may be present, it is the consistent, measured character of a person that determines the sustainability of a relationship. Avoiding partners who display extreme emotional swings is a conscious choice to cultivate a life aligned with reason, clarity, and stability. By identifying emotional volatility early, Stoics prevent themselves from investing time and energy into relationships that are likely to be unstable. They seek partners who reflect the same level of self mastery and inner calm, ensuring that love grows in a harmonious and balanced environment. And choosing emotional stability over chaos is not just wise, it is essential for creating meaningful, lasting connections. A second critical red flag that Stoics consciously avoid in modern dating is a lack of personal accountability. Accountability is the cornerstone of maturity, integrity, and emotional intelligence, and without it, a relationship cannot thrive. In the context of dating, someone who consistently deflects responsibility for their actions, blames others for their mistakes, or refuses to acknowledge the consequences of their behavior signals a fundamental imbalance in character. Stoics recognize that engaging with such individuals introduces unnecessary conflict, frustration, and uncertainty. As these patterns undermine trust and mutual respect, people who lack accountability often display patterns of manipulation or passive aggressive behavior. Instead of addressing issues directly and honestly, they may gaslight, make excuses, or shift blame onto their partner. For a Stoic, such behaviors are incompatible with the pursuit of a rational and harmonious life. Stoicism teaches that each person is responsible for their own actions, emotions, and decisions. When a partner refuses to take responsibility, it creates a dynamic where the Stoic constantly needs to manage or correct the other person, which is draining and unsustainable. Moreover, a lack of accountability often correlates with a lack of self awareness. If someone cannot recognize their mistakes or understand how their actions impact others, they are unlikely to grow or change. Stoics value personal growth, reflection, and continuous improvement. They seek partners who mirror these values, individuals willing to introspect and adjust their behavior when necessary. A partner who resists accountability demonstrates resistance to self improvement. creating a mismatch in values and long term compatibility. In modern dating, where communication is fast and often superficial, accountability becomes even more crucial. Misunderstandings, miscommitments, or broken promises can quickly escalate into tension if one party refuses to acknowledge their role. Stoics avoid relationships where accountability is absent because they understand that love is not just about attraction, it is about trust, consistency, and reliability. Without these elements, the relationship becomes unstable and emotionally taxing, leaving little room for growth or genuine connection. A lack of accountability can also reveal deeper insecurities or fear of vulnerability. People who refuse to own their actions often fear judgment, rejection, or confrontation. While it may seem easier to deflect responsibility in the short term, this behavior erodes intimacy and prevents meaningful connection. Stoics recognize that true closeness requires honesty, integrity, and the courage to face one's flaws. Avoiding partners who cannot engage in this level of honesty is a deliberate choice to preserve emotional well-being and maintain high standards for relationships. Furthermore, accountability extends to communication and commitments. If someone repeatedly breaks promises, cancels plans without explanation, or avoids discussing important topics, it is a warning sign that they may not prioritize the relationship. Stoics interpret these patterns as indicators of misaligned values and potential future disappointment. Choosing to disengage from such dynamics is not about rigidity, it is about protecting one's time, energy, and emotional stability. Ultimately, Stoics seek partners who demonstrate responsibility in all aspects of life, including their emotions, decisions, and relationships. They understand that accountability is non negotiable for creating a harmonious and lasting bond. Aligning with someone who takes responsibility for themselves ensures a relationship built on trust, respect, and enduring stability. A third red flag that Stoics consciously avoid in modern dating is inconsistency in words and actions. Consistency is a hallmark of integrity, reliability, and emotional stability, and when it is absent, it undermines trust and predictability in a relationship. In dating, inconsistency manifests in numerous ways: making promises and failing to keep them, expressing feelings one day and denying them the next, or displaying affection and attention unpredictably. Stoics understand that such behavior creates unnecessary emotional turbulence, leaving one in a constant state of uncertainty, anxiety, and doubt. Inconsistent partners often exhibit erratic patterns of engagement. They might be warm and attentive one moment, only to become distant and unavailable the next. For someone practicing Stoicism, this unpredictability is a red flag because it disrupts inner peace and stability. Stoics value calmness, rational thinking, and emotional equilibrium, and being with a partner whose behavior is erratic forces them into reactive patterns rather than allowing them to respond with reason and composure. This is not about controlling the other person. It is about recognizing the importance of consistent character and fostering a balanced and meaningful relationship. Moreover, inconsistency is often a symptom of deeper issues such as immaturity, insecurity, or lack of self awareness. A person who cannot align their words with their actions may struggle with understanding their own emotions, desires, or priorities. Stoics prioritize self awareness and personal growth, and they recognize that a partner who cannot demonstrate these qualities is unlikely to contribute positively to a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. Such behavior signals that the individual may not be ready for a mature partnership, and engaging with them can lead to repeated disappointment and frustration. In modern dating, where communication is often digital and fleeting, inconsistency becomes even more damaging. Messages left unread, plans canceled without notice, or sudden mood swings can all signal a lack of alignment between intentions and behavior. Stoics interpret these inconsistencies as clear indicators that the person may not value the relationship or may be navigating their own unresolved internal conflicts. By avoiding such partners, they protect their emotional energy and maintain their focus on relationships that offer clarity, honesty, and dependability. Additionally, inconsistency can hinder intimacy and emotional security. Trust is built over time through repeated, reliable actions. When a partner is inconsistent, it erodes trust and leaves one questioning the stability of the bond. Stoics recognize that love is not solely about passion or attraction. It is about a foundation of reliability and mutual respect. Without these, a relationship becomes volatile and unpredictable, which goes against a Stoic pursuit of inner tranquility and rational connection. Ultimately, Stoics seek partners whose words align with their actions, who can demonstrate steady behavior, and who communicate their intentions transparently. They understand that consistency is essential not only for trust, but also for building a relationship that allows both individuals to thrive emotionally and mentally. Choosing consistency in a partner ensures a relationship grounded in trust, reliability, and mutual respect, fostering emotional harmony and lasting connection. A fourth red flag that Stoics carefully avoid in modern dating is manipulation. Manipulation can take many forms: emotional, psychological, or even subtle social tactics designed to control, influence, or elicit certain behaviors from a partner. For a Stoic, Manipulation is immediately recognizable because it disrupts the principles of honesty, respect, and rational engagement that guide meaningful human connections. It creates a dynamic in which one person's autonomy is compromised and their emotional energy is drained navigating the hidden agendas and unpredictable behavior of the other. Stoics highly value personal integrity and self control, and being subjected to manipulation threatens both. In modern dating, manipulation often appears under the guise of charm, selective vulnerability, or guilt. A partner might exaggerate their own hardships to elicit sympathy or compliance, or they might employ subtle criticisms disguised as constructive feedback to influence your behavior. Stoics are particularly attuned to these tactics because they understand that authentic relationships do not require coercion or gamesmanship. Emotional manipulation not only obscures the true intentions of a person, but also creates unnecessary turbulence, drawing one away from rational decision making and inner calm. Stoics strive to remain centered, responding to situations with reason rather than being swept into reactive emotional patterns, and manipulative behavior directly challenges this equilibrium. Moreover, manipulation undermines trust. When a partner's words and actions are designed to elicit specific responses rather than communicate genuine feelings or intentions, the foundation of honesty and transparency is compromised. Stoics recognize that trust is not optional. In a healthy relationship, it is essential for stability, security, and mutual growth. A partner who manipulates demonstrates a lack of respect for your autonomy and emotional intelligence. Over time, repeated exposure to manipulative texts can lead to self doubt, confusion, and emotional fatigue, which Stoics actively seek to avoid. They understand that being in a relationship should not feel like navigating a maze of psychological traps, but should provide a space for growth, clarity, and rational engagement. In addition, manipulation often signals insecurity or immaturity. A person who needs to control or influence another to feel valued or important has not developed the self confidence or inner stability necessary for a balanced partnership. Stoics, who value personal responsibility and self sufficiency, immediately perceive such behaviors as a warning sign. They understand that enduring relationships are built on mutual respect and equal footing, not power imbalances or hidden agendas. Avoiding manipulative partners is therefore a form of self preservation, protecting one's emotional integrity and reinforcing Stoic principles of autonomy and reason. Furthermore, manipulation can mask deeper incompatibilities. A partner who relies on manipulation to gain attention, affection, or compliance may not genuinely align with your values, goals, or emotional needs. Stoics prioritize alignment and shared understanding, and they recognize that any relationship built on deception or coercion will inevitably lead to conflict, disappointment, and emotional instability. By identifying and avoiding manipulation early, Stoics ensure they invest their time and energy into connections that are honest, balanced, and conducive to mutual growth. Steering clear of manipulation preserves clarity, trust, and emotional harmony, allowing relationships to flourish in an environment of respect, honesty, and rational connection. A fifth red flag that Stoics carefully avoid in modern dating is excessive neediness or dependency. In today's fast paced and emotionally charged dating world, many individuals unknowingly project neediness in subtle or overt ways, whether through constant texting, seeking continual reassurance, or displaying an over reliance on their partner for emotional stability. For Stoics, such behavior immediately signals an imbalance in emotional self sufficiency, which is a cornerstone of their philosophy. Stoicism teaches that inner peace and contentment are cultivated within, not extracted from others, and a partner who leans excessively on someone else for validation or security can create a dynamic that is emotionally draining and ultimately unsustainable. Neediness often manifests as a preoccupation with the relationship itself. Rather than a focus on personal growth, goals, or shared experiences, it can appear as over monitoring of the partner's actions, frequent attempts to gauge commitment, or heightened anxiety over minor changes in communication patterns. Stoics recognize that these behaviors are driven by fear of loss, fear of abandonment, and fear of uncertainty. Such fears are incompatible with a healthy, rational approach to relationships because they undermine calm judgment and can generate unnecessary tension. By avoiding partners who display excessive neediness, Stoics preserve their own emotional equilibrium while encouraging interactions that are mutually empowering rather than dependent. Excessive dependency also limits authentic connection. When one partner is overly reliant on the other, the relationship can become lopsided, with one person carrying the emotional weight while the other is tasked with providing constant reassurance. Stoics value equality and self sufficiency in partnerships, understanding that meaningful bonds are not built on obligation or pressure, but on mutual respect, shared values, and rational engagement. A relationship where one person is emotionally tethered to another tends to foster frustration, resentment, and a lack of genuine intimacy because it prioritizes immediate emotional gratification over long term stability and growth. Furthermore, neediness can be manipulative, even unintentionally. A person who is constantly seeking reassurance may pressure their partner into proving commitment, subtly coercing emotional responses that are not organically offered. Stoics, who prioritize autonomy and clear minded decision making, recognize the danger in such dynamics. They understand that true attraction and connection are rooted in freedom and choice, not compulsion or emotional obligation. When a partner's neediness begins to encroach on personal boundaries or dictate behavior, it is a clear warning sign that the relationship may be unsustainable. Another key aspect is that neediness signals a lack of self confidence and personal development. Stoics admire individuals who possess inner strength, self discipline, and emotional resilience because these traits allow for balanced and fulfilling interactions. A partner who lacks these qualities may inadvertently create cycles of emotional instability, tension, and disappointment, which Stoics actively seek to avoid. By identifying excessive neediness as a red flag, Stoics can focus their energy on relationships that enhance growth, encourage independence, and respect personal boundaries. Ending line: recognizing and avoiding excessive neediness ensures relationships remain balanced, empowering, and rooted in self sufficiency, allowing both partners to thrive without compromising emotional integrity. The sixth red flag that Stoics avoid in modern dating is a lack of personal responsibility and accountability. In any meaningful relationship, both partners must take ownership of their actions, decisions, and emotions. When someone consistently blames external circumstances, other people, or even their partner for their failures, mistakes, or emotional turmoil, it signals a fundamental immaturity that can undermine the stability and trust necessary for a healthy connection. Stoics understand that emotional resilience and rational decision making are grounded in self discipline, reflection, and the acceptance of responsibility. A partner who refuses to hold themselves accountable not only disrupts this balance, but also creates an environment where conflicts escalate unnecessarily and personal growth is stifled. Lack of accountability often shows up subtly at first. It may manifest in minor excuses like forgetting plans, mismanaging time, or dismissing commitments without apology. Over time, these patterns can become more serious, including deflecting blame in arguments, failing to acknowledge harmful behaviors, or refusing to learn from mistakes. For a Stoic, such behaviors are incompatible with the principles of rational living because they erode trust and foster frustration. Relationships thrive when both partners can admit their faults, make amends, and consciously strive to improve. When someone repeatedly avoids this, it signals a lack of maturity and a potential for repeated conflicts that are difficult to resolve. Stoics also recognize that accountability is tied to emotional intelligence. A partner who refuses to take responsibility for their emotions or reactions often projects their insecurities onto others. This projection can create cycles of misunderstanding, resentment, and unnecessary drama. For example, someone who blames a partner for their anger or disappointment fails to see their own role in the situation and prevents the relationship from evolving healthily. Stoics value individuals who can pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and a lack of accountability directly undermines these qualities. Furthermore, a partner who avoids responsibility often lacks self awareness and self discipline, two traits that Stoics highly regard. Stoicism emphasizes mastery over one's own mind and actions, understanding that control begins internally. When someone consistently evades responsibility, it signals that they are not invested in self improvement or rational decision making. This absence can create a dynamic where one partner carries the emotional and practical load while the other avoids personal growth, leading to imbalance and dissatisfaction. Another important aspect is that accountability fosters trust. In relationships, trust is built not just through words, but through consistent actions and integrity. A partner who owns their behavior and takes responsibility even when it's uncomfortable demonstrates reliability and maturity. Conversely, avoiding responsibility signals that trust may be fragile or conditional, making long term connection precarious. Stoics are drawn to partners who exhibit reliability, transparency, and rational self governance, as these qualities create an environment where both individuals can thrive and grow together. By recognizing a lack of personal responsibility as a red flag, Stoics ensure they engage only with partners who are mature, self aware, and capable of fostering trust, stability, and mutual growth in modern dating.